Hi, my name's Sean Pessarra. I'm the Horticulture Specialist here at Heifer Ranch. If you can't tell, it's raining, so you might hear a little bit of thunder during this video. We're processing 1,500 tulips today. This is just a portion of one of our beds and one of our tunnels, and it's taken 4 people. I got my volunteers here helping me. We're gonna be talking a little bit about this video, some considerations if you're thinking about growing tulips for market on the business side. You know, if you're trying to start or grow your cut flower farm. If you are a vegetable grower, maybe thinking about branching out. Yeah, we'll talk about the growing, the processing, the marketing, some pricing and things like that. So like and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this and we want to keep great content coming to you. As far as our cut flower business, our enterprise within our market garden business, it plays a vital role in that it fills some gaps for us. So this is a time of year where we're just wrapping up sending all of our root crops and our cabbages and things like that we've stored all winter, but our spring crops haven't really come on yet. And so during this lull time, we have all this tulips. We'll do the same thing through the summertime whenever it's too hot for lettuce. That's when sunflowers or zinnias could really be taking off. So I think cut flowers, as far as in a business enterprise, really fits well into the market garden business in that it can help you fill in some gaps in production. So the tulips, we really had the advantage using our greenhouse, and so I would check out our YouTube video about how to select a greenhouse or figuring out which greenhouse works best for you if you want some guidance there. But we got our tulips to market a month before everyone else. And then now when everyone else's tulips are coming in, we're pretty much done and moving on to something else. And so that's really been key for us. We do a lot of heirloom tomatoes, a lot of strawberries. And so what our focus has been this year is cut flowers in the early spring from overwintered flowers. That includes things like poppies and anemones and ranunculus. And then right as those are wrapping up, our strawberries are hitting full force. And right as the strawberries are wrapping up, the heirlooms are coming in full force. And it's kind of all hands on deck, but we just move around the farm to different enterprises. All right, so we are in the pack shed this morning processing our tulips. We harvested these tulips really over the past week and a half, and they've been living in our cooler. Once you put tulips in a dark space that's cool, really cold is preferable, like 34 degrees, they basically stop growing at that point. In order for us to get these fresh tulips to market in time and not too late to where they're only gonna last a day or two for the customer, we want the customer to be able to enjoy these for a week. We're trying to get them at just the right stage of development. Put them in the cooler, take them out when they've developed a little bit of color, and then by the time I get these to the florist or to the store, they'll be just starting to open, perfect for the customer, and then when they get home, they're gonna open for another week and just be these really large blooms. All right, so we got started with our tulips in our high tunnel, planting them in November. So we got our bulbs in, we just stored them in our refrigerator until we were ready to plant. That's actually good for them to get more cold period. We followed Floret Farm's recommendations for how to plant our tulips. Our beds are 30 inches wide, 90 feet long. This tulip bed was in our high tunnel, and we dug a large trench, spaced out our bulbs a couple of inches apart, maybe 3 inches apart. What we found was the varieties where we kind of crammed them in and put them a little too close together, it made harvesting a lot harder. So we have found that giving them a little bit of space makes the harvesting quicker and makes it more profitable, even though it might take up an extra part of a bed or something like that. I think it's worth giving them some space. But really, they're growing from the energy that they've stored. So when you get that bulb and you plant it, that bulb itself is about 4 or 5 years old already, maybe even 6 years old. And so they're growing from that stored energy, and that's, And so here's what the bulb looks like when we plant it. They're basically sending all the energy from the bulb up into the flower. But then when we're ready to actually harvest them, we just break that off. And so then that's what we're selling. And these just go to the compost. And then what we're doing is putting them together in bundles of 6, and then they'll go to the florist. She's gonna spray them down with a hose, which is totally fine. The tulips can handle it really well. and then she'll slip them into a paper sleeve with her logo on it, and then they'll be ready for market. So we're just kind of doing some of the front end processing for her. So what I'm doing first off is I'm breaking off that bulb, and that's going to compost. I'm pulling off some of the outer leaves. And one of the things we noticed with this variety in particular is that the blooms were a little bit hidden by the leaves. Some of them were almost like wrapped up. Is that if you just lightly bend it, you can bend those petals down and kind of show more of the flower. So that's about what it looks like right there, and that's 2, so I need 4. So now I'm gonna do the other 4 at like a full speed so you can kind of see how quick we're trying to move. But the faster you go, the more you process. That's 4. The more money you make per bunch, the faster you move. And then after you've done 1,000 of them, it becomes pretty easy. And then slicing that off clean, and then we put a rubber band on it. I'm just doing like that. They're going into a bucket of clean water. It's important that the water's clean, that the buckets are washed out, and then we're even adding a little bit of sanitizer. So this is an organic approved sanitizer. It's basically hydrogen peroxide vinegar. And so that I think helps keep down some of the bacteria so the blooms will last longer. And then once we got 6 bunches in this bucket, then they'll go back into the cooler until they're ready for delivery. Just keeping them out for the 30 minutes we've been working on it, they've already opened up. Some of these that was closed about 30 minutes ago and it's already opened. So we're trying to be really fast, get them back into the dark and into the cooler so they don't keep opening until they're ready for the customer. So they're going in bundles of 6. That tends to make a really nice kind of airy bouquet versus something that we might do later in the summer that has a lot of greenery and filler. The tulips, really just kind of stand alone. And when that's in a big glass vase, it's just really pretty. All the tulips that we're harvesting are going to 2 retailers, one primarily, and to take 1,500 tulips and get them to 1 delivery and it be done and get paid for that is, for us, better than trying to sell individual bouquets to folks. And so we get a wholesale price for it. So we paid 25 cents, or about 20 cents for each bulb that we ordered, and then we'll sell each tulip for $1. And then the florist will mark it up to $2. So, or between $1.50 and $2. So this would be $10 to $12, depending on how big the flowers are. And then we make $5 to $6 on that. Or we'll make $6 on that bouquet. All the tulips that we've harvested about 4,000 tulips. They came out of just one 100-foot bed. So that's $4,000 in revenue from that one bed. But given that was $1,000 to plant that bed. So it is a capital investment. And I would really suggest, it might seem like that's easy money, but it takes a lot on the processing side. It takes a lot on the cooler side. We've entirely filled up an 8x8 foot cooler with shelves with all these tulips. So if someone's thinking about growing tulips and doesn't have a way to refrigerate them in a walk-in cooler, I would advise against it. And that's just with one bed. There's some great potential there, but you just have to have the infrastructure for it. They have been really profitable for us because we already had the infrastructure in place. So, the tulips can be pretty expensive, especially if you're not buying, thousands at a time. They can be as much as 50 cents a piece if you were to go to Lowe's or something like that, or just do a small order. So I ordered, from a wholesaler that's based in Holland. So we're getting them directly from Holland, which is where most tulips come from. And so they come in large crates, and we put them in the refrigerator until we're ready. So you already need a large refrigerator for that. We have one volunteer who's just bringing out stacks and stacks of flowers for us to process right now. It take up a lot of room. Having the greenhouse gave us the advantage in that we were to market a month sooner. So all those are important considerations for a flower farm, or if you're thinking about growing flowers, is that there is some infrastructure cost to this up front. Flowers can be something that appear really lucrative on the front end because you get $1 per bloom. That's pretty amazing. If you were selling these direct to consumer, you could get $2 per flower. but there are some challenges on the technical side, the infrastructure side, and the marketing side. Tulips do have a shelf life and then we can put them in the cooler, but for a lot of blooms like our poppies, anemones, some of our summer flowers, there's not a lot of time to keep them in a cooler before they're off to market. They really need to be sold that week. And so that's an important consideration, is you don't want to overgrow, overinvest, and then not be able to move the flowers. Tulips could be a good fit for really a flower farm at any scale. Even if you have an urban setting, you're just in a backyard, if you have enough market demand for it and you have a place to store it. So if you have extra cooler laying around that you could use, if you have a good community around you that buys every flower you can pick, then you can have a pretty small flower farm. And I think there's huge potential for that. Flower farming in the US is kind of having this renaissance. There's a lot of interest around it. There's a lot of potential there. Americans spend about $30 billion, billion with a B, $30 billion on cut flowers every year. And 95% of those are coming from overseas. So there's a huge opportunity for the American market to kind of recover. America grew most of its own flowers until the 70s and 80s. And so, yeah, there's big market opportunities for folks. All right, thanks for watching our video. If you want more content like this, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more specific content around flower farming and doing it for profit, let us know in the comments, and then we can make more videos like this for you. Thanks.